of Directors and Executive Leadership Team. Today, we will be discussing a number of concerns that you may have related to employee benefits, compensation, and uh, incentives for our employees at our company. Um, what I wanted to make sure that we all talked about were some of the advantages of why employer benefits are important and how we can utilize these benefits to stay competitive. So, one of the first benefits that's important for us to think about is our 401k plan, with ideally an employer match program. And so, what this does for our employees is it provides them a tax advantage for retirement, and it makes it easy for our employees to retire. We also would allocate a portion of their payroll checks to the retirement. And did you know that more than 40% of US based employees do not have access to an employer sponsored 401k program? So that means that if we had one, we would be above the margin as an employer of choice. Another benefit to stay competitive would be our health benefits, right? We need to make sure that we have a good plan that reduces out of pocket costs for our employees. We should have centers of excellences for employees that may have specific health conditions. Additionally, we should think about specialty services to assist our employees on particular issues they may have, like an employee assistance program. Another great benefit that we should be offering is paid time off and flexible leave options. So, what does this mean, right? We at least should allow our employees a minimum of 2 weeks off if they're a full time employee. And we should also think about offering part time employees time off as well. We should have separate buckets for sick time and personal leave. And also, potentially, we should think about an unlimited option. An unlimited option of paid time off may be available to us if we manage our finances correctly. We should also offer a wellness option. Inside this wellness option, we should offer discounts to gyms. Potentially, we may subsidize gym costs. Did you know that if we subsidize health wellness costs, usually our employees are more productive at work? We could also offer discounts to companies like Dick's or sporting goods stores. We should also ask and require biometric screenings from our employees and pay the employee to complete that biometric screening. Simply paying them $100 on a employer-sponsored debit card that they can use for wellness purchases increases your employees' stability and retention at work. At some of the locations that we have, we should offer lunch and snacks. Incorporating this into your everyday work life is beneficial because the employee has one less thing to think about when they're leaving their home, and it's readily available for them at work, and it makes them more productive. Also, we should think about flexible work schedules, maybe work from home options. Allowing employees to be flexible with their schedules will mean more productivity in the long run, and employees are happier at work. It's really important that we think about why we want to make these changes. As a board and as executive leaders of this organization, it's extremely important to remember that pay dispersion reduces employee morale, and if we don't pay our employees correctly, then we may not get productive employees at all. We need to make sure that we clearly communicate the standards and procedures when we make any sort of pay decisions at this organization. If we do think about going beyond pay raises and cash bonus bonuses, we may want to think about including employee stock options because that could be a huge strategy for us to retain employees. So most times in my research that I've done is companies tend to have um, uh, stock option programs that last 5 years in length. So there's vesting periods each year, and so the maximum amount of shares would vest in the last year, which tends to be a really good strategy for a lot of larger companies as I've done my research. We should also make sure that we are administering the compensation and benefits fairly and equitably. So we need to make sure across our organization that all of our employees are being paid the same in the job categories that they work in. So, for example, if you work in Georgia as a frontline store employee, you should be making 1303 in a zone C. And so we should think about what does that compensation look like in Chicago, where it's a zone D, or in San Francisco, where it's a zone E, making sure that all of those employees across the board are paid fairly and equitably. We should also ensure that we provide benefits and compensation with long term vesting schedules, as I described earlier. It's extremely important that vesting becomes becomes understandable within our company. We shouldn't just give all of our stock options on day number one. However, we should think about offering benefits day number one. And when we offer benefits day number one, that improves employee morale by over 45%, as the Society of Human Resource Management notates. So, as I was analyzing why we should have these advantages um, for benefits, the Society of Human Resource Management says that if you're there for your employees, they'll be there for you. I find that to be a great statement because if you maximize the opportunities that we have with our employees, they will be there for us. They will continue to work for us, and they will be A game players in our organization. We also need to make sure that as an employer, we should focus not necessarily on what is big, cutting edge companies are doing, but what are our competitors doing? Because those are the employers with whom you're competing with. So we have to make sure that when we analyze our benefits, we're not looking at what a technology firm is doing or what a news organization is doing. We really need to make sure that we're evaluating those resources appropriately. And then we have to think about the competition. We should be reviewing our benefits at least annually and using our market data that we find during those analysis to compare across our competitors' offerings. And think about taking an employee centered approach. So we should always make sure we're asking our employees what benefits they value and what they like about their benefits. It's extremely important that it varies between demographic groups and where you live. Um, Traditional employee surveys that we may also want to start could answer this for us. And our benefits department can do focus groups, do stay interviews, and utilize social media for polling. It really helps when we can engage our employees in what kind of offerings we should offer as an organization. Now, as any organization knows, board and executive leadership, there's always disadvantages. And it's important to notate what those disadvantages are. Now, we have to think about employer benefits and what those disadvantages are, but don't think that this is something that we can't overcome. as an organization, it's extremely important for us to think about how we can move forward and make sure that our employees are accountable and that they're doing the right things. Um, and those are advantages for us. So, some disadvantages are um, it's really hard to keep everyone happy. Not everyone wants the same plan, not everyone wants the same offering. We also need to think about the legal costs, and it varies by state. So, as we're a large organization with employees in multiple states, we just have to make sure that we're doing the right thing in each state. And we also need to make sure that it's not too expensive, right? Because that's a huge disadvantage for our employees. If it's too expensive, they won't enroll, and then we just won't have happy employees, and we'll have them griping about the benefits we offer them. Now, we also need to think about the management of our budget. Can we afford these benefits? Sometimes we just can't give everything away. Are our benefits and offerings difficult to maintain? Are we working too hard to maintain these type of benefits? Could they port from one benefit plan to another benefit plan? If our benefit offerings don't aren't portable, does it make sense for us? And we should also make sure that there's regulatory compliance, because if we don't follow that, then we could be in big trouble. An analysis was done on the disadvantages of employee benefits, right? And sometimes they're hard to measure the ROI, right? That return of investment. Sometimes we may want a benefit to be added, but where's the ROI? So we really need to think about that. If we're not competitive and we're not doing analyses with our competitors, we could, as an organization, fall behind. So I'm very glad to hear that today we're working together to see if we can come up with some solutions for our employees. And we're always going to be taking a gamble on new offerings that we may put out there. So that could be a disadvantage for us. And if our data is not right, that's also a problem. We need to make sure we have accurate data for our business. So, how, as an organization, can we make this happen? How can we move forward? So, we need to talk about the pros and cons of moving forward. So, it's really simple, right? In order to stay competitive, we must make a change, right? We have to stay competitive in the marketplace. It's extremely important for us as an organization to continue to revise our benefit plans, our offerings, and move forward, right? We also have an opportunity to rebrand our benefits group, right? So today they're just known as benefits, right? Maybe we call them total rewards. Maybe we think about a new flashy name for them and do a new brand campaign. Potentially that will be an opportunity for our employees to say, wow, the company really is thinking about a change, is really thinking about opportunities for me. We can also enhance our employee experience by offering new benefits that align with the majority of our employees. Asking for feedback will gain our employees buy-in, and will have a great employee experience with better productivity. And this could offer opportunities for our employees. So now our benefits cover a condition they've had, and now they're able to get that resolved. And so they're going to be productive at work. They're going to be happy at work. And those are great reasons that we should think about opportunities to make a change. There are always some cons to making changes, right? Change is difficult. As senior leaders, we need to make sure that we're thinking about how we can maximize our opportunity, but also remember that change is difficult for a lot of people. Potentially, we don't have the right technology to implement some changes. So we need to think about how, as an organization, we can move forward from that. And could there be too many new processes involved with offering new benefit plans, new incentives? So it's extremely important for us to continue to think about how we can leverage new ideas and thought processes. As an organization today, it's so important for you to think about all of the things that you want and how we can work together to align as an organization. So, as senior leaders and board of directors, I hope that you found this information valuable, and thanks so much for your time.